Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Titi Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Satmaha Banda Mui Sabhadana Mate Yahara Prasade Bhai Hey Baba Toriya Yahai Krishna Prapti Hoya Hoite Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chite Te Koriya Aikya Ana Koriyo Mane Asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Hey Say Utama Gati Prasade Pure Sarva Asha Chaku Dandilo Ye Janme Janme Prabhu Se Vyajnan Hriday Prakashita Prema Bhaktiya Hoite Avidya Vinashayate Vede Gaya Hara Charita Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Lokana Tokera Jivana Lokana Tokera Jivana Aha Prabhu Koro Doya Deha More Parachaya Aha Prabhu Koro Doya Deha More Parachaya Ebe Yash Kushitri Bhuvana Ebe Yash Kushitri Bhuvana Kui Pade Laila Sarana Guru Dev Patita Pavana Guru Dev Patita Pavana Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharya Sata Sri Shrimad His Divine Grace Saisi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki, Mayapur Dham Ki, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki, Tulsi Maharani Ki, Gaura Premanande. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Krishna Hare. I'd like a slightly bigger pair of cartels. Oh, never mind. Namam Ishvaram Satchit Anandarupam Lasat Kuntalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashoda Biolukaladavamanam Param Drishtam Achantato Druchagopya Rudantamoho netra yugmam murdantam Karamboja yugmena shatanka netram Muhushvashakampa Chireka Kanta Sita Graiva Damodaram Bhakti Badham Iti Driksvalila Birananda Kunde Svagosham Nimajantam Makyapayantam Chadiyeshitageshu bhaktarchitatvam Puna prema tastam shata vritti vande Varam deva moksham na mokshavarim va Nachanyam vune hambare shadapiha Idam teva purnata gopala balam Achanta Muhushchumbitam bimba rakta darame Manashivirashtam alam lakshalabhai Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabho Dukkha Jalabdi Magnam Kripa drishti vrishchati dinam batanu Grihanesha mamagyam ejakshi drishya Kuveratma jobadha murchaiva yadvat Tvaya mochito bhakti bhajo krito cha Tata prema bhaktim svakamaya prayachcha Namokshe graho mesti damodareha Namaste stu damne svura dipti damne Vadyodarayata vishvasya damne Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe. Controller, who possesses an eternal form of blissful knowledge, whose glistening earrings swing to and fro, who manifested himself in Gokula, who stole the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafters of their storerooms, who then quickly to that Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. His mother's whipping stick, he cried and rubbed his hands again and again with his two lotus hands.
His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick, and as Mother Yashoda bound his belly with ropes, he shivered in fright and his pearl necklace shook. To this Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, who is bound with his devotees' love, I offer my humble obeisances. Pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drowned the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy. Who were attracted only to his majestic aspect of Narayan and Vaikuntha, the Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. To the Supreme Lord Damodar, my obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. I only wish that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart. O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened like bimber fruit due to Mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind. O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, be pleased upon me. I am drowning in an ocean of sorrow, and am almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy on me, uplift me and protect me with your nectarian vision. O Lord Damodar, in your form as a baby, Mother Yashoda bound you to a grinding stone with a rope for tying cows. You then freed the sons of Kuvera, Manigriva and Nalakuvara, who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them the chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in the same way. I have no desire for liberation into your effulgence. O Lord, the entire universe was created by Lord Brahma, who was born from your abdomen, which was bound with a rope by Mother Yashoda. To this rope I offer my humble obeisances. I offer my obeisances to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and to your unlimited pastime. Shri Shri Radha Damodar Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. Welcome Bhaktivedanta Academy. Must be Tuesday. So while you're sitting down quietly, I'm going to read to you from Prabhupada Nectar book. This is some nectar about Srila Prabhupada. During the Kumbh Mela in 1977, Prabhupada said that he wanted to bathe in the Triveni, but that he did not want to go into the crowd. He requested the devotees to go at the auspicious hour and return with water so that he could bathe with it the following day. Two devotees managed to reach the Triveni and return with a bucket of water. The next morning, Prabhupada gave a darshan. Everyone wanted to know how his bath had been. Prabhupada thought for a moment and said, "It was like any bath in any water from the tap." He went on to explain that even though many millions of people go to the Triveni during Kumbh Mela to take their auspicious bath, any service that anyone does anywhere in the world for the pleasure of Krishna is more auspicious. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, making our lives more auspicious. So here's the announcements for today. I advise everyone to read the temple newsletter because everything in all detail is in there, and there are so many things coming up in October. This is the best place to get good information. If you don't get the newsletter, you'd like it to come into your email, just call the temple office and we will arrange that immediately. We are asking everyone to please send photos of yourself and your family members to the temple to go into the new community directory. This is a good way for us, not us, me, but I mean all the community, to see a name and put a face to it. There are so many devotees in this temple. Sometimes we don't know the name, but we know the face. We know the face, we don't know the name. This is a good way to do it. So all you have to do is send your photos to the temple Gmail address, alachuatemple@gmail.com. If you have a business or a service and you would like the devotees to know about it, it can go into the community directory. You just have to contact Gopishwari. If you don't know how to do that, contact the temple office. And we can put an ad in there for your business or service. And then when the devotees need something, they open their directory and they find you. So please let her know if you'd like to run an ad in the directory. Pran Govinda Prabhu has sponsored the Ghee Lights today, and if anyone would like to sponsor them anytime during this month, you just call the temple office or see me, and we'll put you right into a slot. Friday is Rath Yatra in Gainesville. It's their homecoming parade, and we're part of it and have been for many, many years. We like to have a big crowd of enthusiastic, chanting devotees for this parade. So we leave the temple at 11:15. You need a bus pass, which you can get from Manorama or Keshava, 2 per family. There's only 35 seats in the bus. I'm trying to see if we can make an arrangement for devotees going by car who want to park down by the park, which is where we end up. Krishna House prepares us a big lunch, and at the end of the parade, we go to this park, and they're all set up, and they feed all the devotees who've come, and see if we can get somebody in a van to kind of bring devotees from the park over to the site. So that might be possible, because 35 seats isn't very many. So I'll let you know if we are able to arrange that. Saturday evening is another UF game. This is their homecoming game. It's probably a sold-out crowd, which is about 90,000 people. So we're going to do Harinam there at Gate 7. We meet at Krishna House at 5 o'clock. That means leaving from the temple at 4:30. And so that's another Harinam opportunity this month. It's, seems like Kartik is full of Harinam opportunities, so do take advantage of that. Sunday is the Downtown Alachua Harvest Festival. We have a book table there. We'll also have an activities table for children. This was actually requested of us by the Alachua Council so that we do something for children because we're down there as a nonprofit. So we'll have a coloring station, Krishna's Pastimes coloring books, and kids can just come, who are just down there as part of the festival. They sit down and they color with us Krishna's Pastimes. We are asking any devotees who are able to make prasadam, any amount, any number of cookies or pieces of square, hard sweets that we can pass out. People love our prasadam, and we can distribute every piece of it that we get. Okay, so that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Let me see if I got anything else here. Govardhan Puja is coming up, of course, on the 26th. That's a Sunday. And we're reminding the devotees that the Radharani Club will be setting up on that day, which means we're asking every able-bodied man, woman, and child to bake something or cook something and bring it over to the Radharani Club table, where it will absolutely get sold and enjoyed by somebody else. And all the proceeds, of course, go to new outfits for our deities all year long. So this is one of the few times of the year that the Radharani Club takes advantage of a festival and sets up. So just be aware of that. Okay, these are the devotees who assisted their spiritual master dressing the deities today. Shishi Radha Shamasundar Akuti Prabhu, Chota Radha Shamasundar Madhuri Gopi Prabhu, Shishi Krishna Balaram Astasaki Prabhu, Chota Krishna Balaram Govinda Mohini Prabhu, Shishi Gornitai Guru Prasad Prabhu, Chota Gornitai Leela Prabhu, Gurus and Lord Nishingadev Ram Narayan Prabhu, and we're very happy to have Govinda Dasi giving class this morning. Haribol.
No, you can get me something to make me not nervous. Why don't you pray them? My ears are really bad. You pray them. Can you lead? Can you lead? Jaradhamadhava Kunjavihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunjavihari Gopi Janavaya Givaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunjavihari Yashodanandana Jai Janaranjana Yamunatira Banachari Jai Radha Madhava Javihari Jai Radha Madhava Javihari Yashodanandana Giranjana Yashodanandana Yamunatira Banachari Yamunatira Banachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunjavihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunjavihari. This was Prabhupada's favorite. He used to say that all of Vrindavan is in this particular little song. He used to say that Radharani is there, Yashodamaya is there, everybody. This is a perfect picture of Vrindavan. That's why he sang it every time he gave a lecture. I speak English better than Sanskrit, but I'll give it a shot. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Sukuyavacha Ityaktastam Pranamyaha Ityaktastam Pranamyaha Muchakando
Madanvita, Muchakundo, Madanvita, Gnatva Narayanam Devam, Gargavakyam Anismaram, Ityaktastam Pranamyaha, Muchakundo Madamvita, Gnatva Narayanam Devam, Gargavakyam Anismaran, Ityuktastam Pranamyaha, Muchakundo Madhanvita, Gnatva Narayanam Devam, Gargavaktam Anismaran. Somebody. Wrong book. This is the wrong book. I think. Look at it and see. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, it's different from the one I have at home, so I couldn't find it. Yes, I know the verses, but I just had it, it's a different one at home. It's where I'm staying. Okay. Muchakundo Madhanvita, Sri Sukarivacha, Sukha Goswami said, Iti, thus, Yukta, addressed, Tam, to him, Paramaya, after bowing down, Aha, said, Muchakunda, Mura, with joy, Anvita, filled, Dhyatva, knowing him to be, Narayanam Devam, Narayan, the Supreme Lord, Gargavakyam, the words of the sage Garga, Anusmaran, remembering. Sukadeva Goswami said, Muchakunda bowed down to the Lord when he heard this. The Lord had said in the previous verse, now choose some benediction from me, O saintly king. I will fulfill all your desires. One who has satisfied me need never again lament. So Muchakunda was humbled. He bowed down to the Lord. And remembering the words of the sage Garga, he joyfully recognized Sri Krishna to be the Supreme Lord, Narayan. The king then addressed him as follows. Sri Muchakunda Yuvacha, Vino hito yam jana ishamayaya, Todiyaya tvam nabhajate anarthajik, Sukhaya dukkha prabhaveshu sajate, Griheshu yosit purushas chavanchitaha. Sri Muchakunda said, O Lord, the people of this world, both men and women, are bewildered by your illusory energy. Unaware of their real benefit, they do not worship you, but instead seek happiness by entangling themselves in family affairs, which are actually sources of misery. So although the Lord appears here as four-handed Narayan, Srila Prabhupada says, we may say that Muchakunda was addressing Sri Krishna. And Sri Krishna has given him the benediction of asking whatever he likes. So all of this is taking place within the context of Krishna Lila. Therefore, it is to be understood that the four-handed forms of Lord Vishnu, or Narayan, are expansions of Sri Krishna. But because it's within the pastimes of Lord Krishna, there may also appear Vishnu Lila, the activities of Lord Vishnu. Such are the qualities and activities of the Supreme Lord. Deeds that for us would be extraordinary or even impossible are commonplace, effortless pastimes for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Sridhar Swami informs us that Muchakunda was aware of the predictions of the ancient sage Garga, and so he understood that this is the Lord himself. And Muchakunda immediately made it clear that he's not going to ask the Lord for material benedictions. He has already advanced spiritually. he is far beyond those who try to exploit religion for all kinds of material benefits. Artha means value, and the negation of the word anartha means that which is valueless or useless. Thus the term anarthadrik indicates those whose vision is focused on valueless things, who have not understood what actual artha or value is. All that glitters is not gold, and Muchakunda here emphatically states that we should not ruin our spiritual chances by entangling ourselves in the fool's goal of bodily relationships. We are meant to love the Lord. The third verse, too, is Labdra Jano Durlabam Atra Manisham Katanshid Avyangam Ayatanto Naga Paravindam Na Bhajate Asan Matir Grihanda Kupe Patito Yata Pasuhu. That person has an impure mind who, despite having somehow or other automatically obtained the rare and highly evolved human form of life, does not worship your lotus feet. Like an animal that has fallen into a blind well, such a person has fallen into the darkness of a material home. Our real home is the kingdom of God. Despite our tenacious determination to remain in our material home, death will rudely eject us from the theater of material affairs. To stay at home is not bad, nor is it bad to devote ourselves to our loved ones, but we must understand that our real home is eternal in the spiritual kingdom. The word ayat nataha indicates that human life has been automatically awarded to us. We have not constructed our human bodies, and therefore we should not foolishly claim, this body is mine. The human form is a gift of God and should be used to achieve the perfection of God consciousness. One who does not understand this is asanmati, possessed of dull, mundane understanding. So, this is the situation of our society today, and this is the situation of all of us. We've fallen into a blind well. And the fact is we've been moving from one blind well to another for millions of births. But we're very fortunate that somehow or other, in this birth, we met Srila Prabhupada, or we heard from his disciples, or from his books, or from his lectures and kirtans, and we were able to pick up the thread of Krishna consciousness. And that's our great good fortune. Religion nowadays is usually meant for exploiting, praying to God for material things. But as this verse is saying, that no one can really feel complete without loving God. To aspire to love God, it gives completeness and joy, because that is our real home. And I think it's interesting here the way it's said, the determination to remain in this world is there, but it can't happen. We will be jerked out of this body at some point. No one here will survive that. So human life, actually these three verses are kind of like Krishna consciousness in a nutshell. All of us are born into a blind well of material life, and so these are very applicable to every one of us. I look at it this way: had Srila Prabhupada not come to the United States, had I not met Srila Prabhupada, we would still be wandering from one blind well to another. So the way I feel is we should never forget this gift of his selfless devotion and concern for our spiritual welfare, and always remain in humble gratitude, and never take the attitude that we're better or somehow more intelligent or powerful or influential. But if not for Prabhupada, we would all still be in the same boat, wandering well to well, just like hamsters on a mill. And so Michikunda was spiritually advanced, so he didn't ask for any material benediction, which he understood were valueless. And he had already experienced life as an earthly king with properties and wives and all kinds of chariots and armies and all the things that people aspire to nowadays. That is, politicians aspire to. And so he knew the anxieties involved in being an earthly king. So how did we actually turn our attention from pursuing these valueless things in society? The way that anyone turns their attention, the way that anyone gets a glimpse of pure devotional service is by the association of a pure devotee, somehow or other. And that's our good fortune that we've had this experience. And of course, Srila Prabhupada's presence is in so many things, in paintings, in his books and his lectures and his kirtans. The glimpse of devotional service is actually the greatest gift that Srila Prabhupada has given to the world, to us and to the world. So sometimes I think, rather than looking down, sometimes devotees have a tendency to look down on the karmis. But actually it's better to just have compassion because we're really not any better. We're born in the same society. We're born in the same, well, not these children, excuse me. But I'm talking about those of us who grew up in America. We really have a gratitude. We have to have gratitude because without Srila Prabhupada's gift, we could just as well be them. We just got lucky, and somehow or other, due to some causeless mercy or past sukriti, either directly or indirectly through his writings or disciples or his kirtans, or we got an opportunity to experience this. So we mustn't ever forget his mercy. Not one of us, not even the most intelligent of scholars or the most powerful or popular leaders, none of us would know anything about Krishna Bhakti if it weren't, or about pure devotion if it weren't for Srila Prabhupada. And we should remember that always and know that his gifts are still being spread all over the world. It's amazing. I find it so amazing because when I first came, there was only a handful of teenagers, and we could sit around in the evening and listen to Prabhupada talk about Krishna and all kinds of wonderful topics in a tiny room that was no bigger than maybe twice the size of the base of the Vyasa-san. And we all fitted into that little teeny-weeny room in New York. And we would sit every night just in a semicircle, a half moon, and he would sit. He always slept on the floor. He had a very simple life. He used his trunk for his Indian trunk, those metal trunks. He used it for his translation work. And so that was his desk. And then whenever we moved from place to place, he put all his books and all his paraphernalia into the trunk. And that was how he traveled. And it was much later that he had beautiful desks and beautiful bookcases and, But the thing is that Srila Prabhupada was focused on his spiritual master, focused on his mission, even in a rat-infested apartment in Bowery or with crazy people, or in a palace in Vrindavan. I mean, he was, later on with his beautiful temples in Bombay and Vrindavan, it really didn't make much, he was always equally focused on his mission and on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. So these gifts, his gifts to us and to the world are, I feel, the most important thing that we have to always remain in humble gratitude. How did we ever get this? It's sometimes it amazes me. So Srila Prabhupada would daily worship his spiritual master every day. He always kept a picture next to him. And when Srila Prabhupada would leave, I would always cry. I'm the crying type. As soon as he would leave, tears would just come and come and come. And he would just say, "No, don't think I'm not with you. Don't cry, because I never feel separated from my spiritual master. He is always with me, and I am always with you. I never feel separated. And so we have to continue to feel that very same mood, and we will feel his presence because he's very present. So it's the best mood to cultivate. One of gratitude and humility. Whether we had the good fortune of meeting him on the physical plane, which is, I have to say, wonderful and the best experience of my life, and it's like having dessert first, and then you got to live the rest of your life. But there's the service, that we have to perform, and it's not really a personality. Sometimes the karmis, they say it's a personality cult, or they say things like that. But it's not at all a personality cult. Srila Prabhupada is the Acharya for the Golden Age. Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted it. He called him the More Sanipati Bhakta. I'm sure everyone's heard this. The military field commander, predicted by the Lord himself to lead Lord Chaitanya's army, Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan army. And Chaitanya Mangala recorded that Narada, in a visit to the spiritual world, saw Lord Gauranga, because Gaur Leela is in the spiritual world. We all know that. So Sri Gauranga told him of his mission to destroy the sinful activities of Kali Yuga. I wrote this down exactly, so I'll read it, because I can't paraphrase what Lord Chaitanya says. With the powerful chopper of Nama Sankirtan, I shall cut the hard, cold knots of demoniac desires from the hearts of everyone. Even if the sinners reject religion or flee to foreign countries, yes, still they will get my mercy. I will send my more Sanipati Bhakta who go there and deliver them. More means my, Sanipati means military field commander, and of course we know Bhakta refers to that great devotee who will lead Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan army, who is empowered by the Lord to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. That personality is Srila Prabhupada, and in time the world will recognize it. I was in Vrindavan once at Ganga Prasad's fabric place, and Ganga Prasad is a very saintly devotee in Vraj, and he said something that really struck me. He said, who knows who he is, that he can touch the hearts of millions of people all over the world. And that is what Prabhupada has done. People who have never met him, never even read his books, hear the chanting. And it's going into the yoga communities, into the schools, into the colleges. It's just like it's better than the virus because it's moving everywhere. And the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, it describes a conversation in Dwarka between Lord Krishna and Ganga Devi. Ganga came to express her fears of Kali and the departure of Lord Krishna. Her anxiety was that she spoke on behalf of the sacred rivers, and her anxiety was that all these poppies, sinful people, will come and bathe in us, and it's going to be very difficult. So she said, "Oh Lord, we can see that your pastimes are about to end, and people are becoming more and more materialistic. You've been very merciful to us. After you leave, all the sinful people of Kali Yuga will bathe in our waters, and we will become overwhelmed with sinful reactions." Smilingly, Lord Krishna replied, "My dear Ganga Devi, please be patient. After 5,000 years, my mantra upasaka, worshipper of the holy name, will appear in this world, and spread the chanting of the holy names everywhere. Not only in Bharatvarsha, India, but also all over the world, people would chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By this chanting, the whole world will," this is still the Lord speaking, "by this chanting, the whole world will become Ekavarna, having one designation, namely Hari Bhaktas, devotees of Lord Hari. And because the devotees of Lord Hare are so pure, anyone who contacts them will become purified from sinful reactions. These pure devotees will visit Bharat Varsha and purify you from sinful reactions by bathing in your sacred waters. This period of worldwide chanting of Hare Krishna will continue for 10,000 years. So this mantra upasaka is very obviously Srila Prabhupada. At this point, we can definitely say that. And this 10,000 year period is just at the beginning, the golden age of Kali Yuga. Srila Prabhupada was deputed to come here to spread this Hare Krishna mantra, and he's quite capable of delivering the whole world as it is his jurisdiction. But one time I thought, 10,000 years, things aren't getting much better in society, and that was in the 1970s, and now look at it. And so I asked him about the 10,000 year period. I said, well, how is that going to work? With 10,000 years, all of a sudden the devotees are just going to be going strong, and then suddenly the demons will take over? Or how will this work? And he explained, no, it's not like that. Simultaneously, the devotees will gain in strength, and simultaneously, the demons will also be working hard to gain in strength. And then at the end of the 10,000 years, the balance will shift, and the demons will take over pretty much, and things won't be very nice there. And I remember Allen Ginsberg came to visit him once, and he asked Srila Prabhupada, what about your devotees then? And he said, Prabhupada said, oh, my devotees? They are very advanced. They will be long gone. And then he was telling him that there won't be anything to eat. Already we can see some progress in that direction, destroying the vegetation. There will only be nasty things to eat. And so Ginsberg was saying, well, what will your disciples eat? And Prabhupada leaned forward and said, I will eat you and you will eat me. Meaning that people will become cannibals, and it will be very unpleasant and definitely not the place to be. So Srila Prabhupada undertook great austerities to do this work, to write his books and to spread this mission. Since I traveled with him for nearly a year and a half as his servant and secretary in the very early days when ISKCON was in an embryonic phase, I saw his austerities that were meant just to benefit the souls of this world. He would get up in the wee hours every morning. And by the way, he wasn't completely well that year. He had just come back from India. He had the heart attack or stroke and went to India to get better. And then he came back in December. Only a few months later, he was still taking Ayurvedic medicine, and he had headaches quite a lot of the time, and a buzzing in his ear. There were a number of things he had. And he would sometimes feel very weak, but nevertheless, he would get up in the wee hours every morning, sitting in meditation, chanting on his japa beads. At maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe 2:30, he would work for hours in early hours. So sometimes I would sit behind the curtain and listen, because he spoke into the dictaphone. The devotees in New York got him a dictaphone, so he didn't have to write things down. And so he would receive spiritual transmissions that he spoke into his dictaphone, and then we transcribed them, and those became his books. It was an incredible schedule. For 70s, I'm not even 70, I can't do that. He was traveling and working daily from 2 a.m. to 6 or 7, and he was determined to get his books done. He used to say, Krishna is writing these books, I'm simply giving them to the world. They'll be the law books for the next 10,000 years. So as devotees, we have to try to see the bigger picture. This is a dream that I had once, shortly after Prabhupada left. And this is the bigger picture, by the way. In the dream, we see that Prabhupada is sitting on the curvature of the earth planet. And you can see Bharat Varsha underneath. And you see all the people of the world pointing from every nation, from every color, every race. And Prabhupada sitting on the Vyasasana with demigods dropping flowers. And in the dream, I was told to take color notes because artists are sometimes, this isn't uncommon. You know, sometimes you have a vision or a dream and you're told take color notes. You wake up and you do a sketch and you write down the color notes, right? Artie Dave knows, but most artists, and Pushkar knows this too, I'm sure. Well, Pushkar's going to disagree with anything I say. Guaranteed, flat out, no ways. Anyway, I was actually told to take color notes, and it was a blue, a beautiful glowing blue. And it was funny because at that time, I didn't actually know that the spiritual world, the essence, was a beautiful, glowing, luminous blue. I later read it, but it was an oval composition. Some of it's cut off because this is actually on, the computer. I put the trees behind it for the Hare Krishna Hawaii site. But basically, you see the general thing. And Prabhupada's sitting, and it's really amazing because in the dream, that particular photograph is the one that I saw, that I was told to copy. Copy that one. And by the way, I started the painting, but I had a Russian artist help finish it because I'm not that good. I'm not as... I can't hear anything. You know that by now. Yes, that was his favorite picture. But I didn't know that either. In the dream, I didn't find that out, and from Brahmananda told me that years later, that was actually his favorite photo, that he was in some meditation or something, and Brahmananda was saying, well, why this picture? It doesn't even have a garland. You don't even, why? But this was Prabhupada's favorite photo, and in the dream, it's one sitting on the grass at Bhaktivedanta Manor. I'm sure you've all seen it. And so I was told to use that picture in the dream. It's not like you're told, you see the picture. It's hard to explain if you're not an artist, but get the idea. You actually see the whole thing, and then you take color notes because you'll forget what the colors are supposed to be. And then the demigods were flying overhead in airplanes and dropping flowers on Srila Prabhupada. And he's sitting on the curvature of the earth with Bharat Varsha underneath him, showing that he is actually the Upasaka, the yoga, the acharya for the golden age. And then it's kind of like a zoom lens took place in the dream because the Vyasasana he was sitting on was real sparkly. It's not sparkly enough. The dream was sparklier, but, it's hard to do that. I need to fix that. But it was a zoom lens, and then at the base, between the elephants and underneath Prabhupada's lotus feet, in jewels, big jewels that glittered so much that you couldn't see it at first, was the word ISKCON. And in the dream, I was given the vision that ISKCON is Prabhupada's vahana, his sitting place, his carrier, just like Lord Shiva rides a bull. His seating place from where he works, from where he writes his books, distributes his kirtans. It's his sitting asana. And then, of course, the demigods are singing mantras of praise, singing Hare Krishna, and dropping flowers. Anyway, that's my personal realization. And so I finally got it done, something like 12 or 15 years later, and I put it up on my website. I had a devotee in Vrindavan help me finish it, Sachidananda, who's probably the best artist I've ever seen so far as Prabhupada is concerned, and he lives in Vrindavan, and he's more reasonable than Pushkar. So as devotees, we have to try to see the big picture and keep a wide perspective and not think that this is some tiny little thing or some tiny little cult or tiny little group or anything. Like the karmis sometimes label us like a cult. No, I think we have to rise above this smallness and pettiness and see the grander picture, the overall view that Srila Prabhupada is orchestrating this Hare Krishna chanting all over the world. I just read something where some famous rock star in Russia who's covered with tattoos has suddenly become a devotee and is singing about Krishna, and this is happening all over, really. And of course, we can't forget these children that he said, the third generation, and some of them are already very great souls that are coming in. He said the demigods were lining up, and you see some of these young ladies and you hear them sing, and it's like, wow, which planet did you come from? Because they have such a soulful and beautiful bhakti-filled voice that gives you chills. So we have to try to strive to stay true, I don't want to talk too long, to those things that Prabhupada established, because he has the higher spiritual vision. We don't. We're conditioned souls. We may be intelligent conditioned souls because we took shelter of Srila Prabhupada. We may be even so intelligent we know Sanskrit a little bit, or maybe we're really good preachers or whatever. But we have to remember that none of us would know anything about Krishna if it weren't for Srila Prabhupada. He's the one who came here and underwent the austerities, and he's still watching over this. The concept, we have a problem that India doesn't have. Because of our Judeo-Christian heritage, we're very, our culture is somewhat more body conscious. We can't quite grasp the concept that the spiritual master can be present easily. We can't easily grasp this concept, whereas Indians don't have a problem with it at all. It's real easy because it's a part of the culture. Every great Vaishnava Sampradaya considers that Ramanuja Acharya is very present and still, or considers Madhva. It's the great souls who come to teach like that don't just abandon ship. They continue watching over what they've started, and they continue to guide from within the heart. And so the way I see it, we're like workers in an airplane factory or some kind of factory, and my job may be to bolt on the tailpiece, and your may be to fix the wing, and we give it our full attention, but we never forget that what we're doing is we're building a small part of a very big airplane. And that airplane, of course, the architect is Srila Prabhupada, and we each have a role to play, and whether it's as a job, as a mother, or as a teacher, or a pujari, or a leader, or a speaker, or whatever we're doing, we have multiple jobs because devotees are very multi-talented, but we can't lose sight of the big picture that we're all doing our small part in Lord Chaitanya's mission under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada, and this mission is far greater than what we can conceive of at this time. After all, it's only been 45 years or something. This is just the beginning. If Lord Chaitanya says that it's going to be all over the world, by golly, it's going to be all over the world. And devotees shouldn't get discouraged that sometimes, oh, there's so much fighting, there's so much philosophical conflict, there's so much this, or I've just gone through my 5th divorce, or whatever. This is material life. It's the way it is. But what we have to try to keep our faith is that Srila Prabhupada is watching over things. And we've already seen when things go a little off whack, he moves them back in, but it's always with mercy, always with kindness, always with love. He does the best, what is best for us, best for our welfare. And he continues to guide us and support us in whatever small part we're playing. Just like when I go to India, I used to travel all over India, from Kanyakumari to Gomukh. I've done pilgrimage. And I would go to temples, and they would introduce you to the deities. I'm sure Indians are familiar with this. And they give you your name, they give you your rasi, meaning your moon, and then they give your family name. Well, they go, Govindasi, Simharasi, Hare Krishna Gotra. And that's what we are. We're from the Hare Krishna Gotra. And that is a very big family. It's big right now, but it's going to be even bigger. And I'm sure some of us will probably be coming back and taking birth in it again. And hopefully the temples will be even more wonderful than they are now. And we'll be able to continue our Krishna consciousness. So I'm just saying it's all due to the grace of Srila Prabhupada, and we should never forget our debt of gratitude to him, because it's one that can never be repaid. Are there any questions? I'm sorry if I talked too long. And by the way, I'm completely hard of hearing, so if anybody tries to talk to me, you know by now that I can't hear anything anybody says. Where does this microphone or some other microphone? Oh, okay. So I have to have a translator.
Govinda Dasi,
Oh,
can
I
you
can
please
hear.
tell us how you met Prabhupada? Did you meet Prabhupada through his teachings first, or through his physical presence? How did you come in contact with His Divine Grace?
Well, I was going to school at the University of Texas, the same school you were going to, but we didn't know one another. And I was a senior in college. I was not a hippie. I was a straight A student until I left one day, and then I got all Fs. And there was a shooting. Remember the shooting at the university? I was driving to art class that day. Cops stopped me and said, "Lady, if you go any further," I said, "I'm going to be late for class," because I'm always late. And he said, "If you go any further, you're going to be within range. There's a nut up on the tower shooting people." It's the first incident in America that took place at the University of Texas, and we were both there. So I can't really say that was the reason. I think that was only a prompting, because I was already studying yoga. I had found a little book, and for some reason, a past life just clicked into it. I started doing pranayama, meditation, and became a vegetarian, all of that. I was just like instant yoga, but there weren't any yoga. Yoga was an unknown word in Texas, wasn't it, Adi Day? Yeah, nobody ever heard of yoga in those days. Not in the South, maybe California. And so we decided to leave. We decided that people were very unhappy, that so unhappy in society that they would go out and shoot people, and that kids, they were students, and that my book kept saying, I have a little yoga book, when the chela is ready, the guru will appear. So I was trying to make myself ready, unconsciously perhaps, by doing all this yoga stuff and meditation and vegetarianism, and we were even celibate, just total trance meditation where you sit for like hours. It just came natural to me. And for some reason, we said, we've got to get out of here. We're never going to get anywhere in Austin, Texas. So we got in the car. We weren't even sure where we were going to go. I left a car, an apartment, all my belongings, and my mother didn't know where I was for several months. Don't do that to your parents. It is not a good plan. My mother's 95, and she hasn't forgiven me. I think that's why I'm having to take care of her right up until the last. So we left, and we were like, my husband, Gorsinder, was a available male for the draft. And you know that if you weren't in school, they would take you to Vietnam. So he was really afraid. So naturally we were thinking, go to Canada, go to Mexico. We didn't know where to go, but we were like we were leaving completely. Somehow or other, we ended up in California. I still don't know how we ended up in California, but my philosophy on it is when the lotus opens, the bees come, even though they don't know where they're going. And so we went to California, and we went to the Haight-Ashbury scene, and it was too weird and dirty for me. And so we left and went up to the Russian River, and meditated and did yoga and stuff. And then we came back down, and it's Krishna brought us really, and it happened. So we left on Thanksgiving Day. That's November 27th or so, and we met Prabhupada in January. So we only wandering, looking for about a month and a half. But it was really funny because we got a little place to stay not in Haight-Ashbury, but further down the hill. And there was this flyer that Gersender found, Gary, his name was Gary, and it said, "Stay high forever, the Swami is coming to town." And I swear, I remember him saying, because we were very confused and we knew it. He said, "When this Swami comes to town, we'll go see him and we'll do whatever he says to do." Don't ask me where that came from. But there was a human being where there were thousands, it was a Ginsberg thing, it's called The Human Being. There were thousands of young people that had congregated from all over America. And it was sort of like Woodstock. I never went to Woodstock, but I'm trying to describe it. A lot of young people, a lot of pot, and I remember going up to the stage, and Timothy Leary was up on the stage. It was like a mobile stage. And there was some guy called himself Buddha, and he had a beer can in his hand. That didn't fly with me at all. I was kind of like, this is not where it's at. That was I was very, very picky about who was going to be my guru, or what I learned, who I learned it from. And then Ginsberg led a Hare Krishna mantra at sunset. And it was really strange. I didn't know the words or anything, but I remember the sunset, I remember the colors, everything seemed brighter, and there was an overwhelming feeling of peace and joy. But you didn't know what it was, and so then time went on, and I was just meditating every day, and one day right after Prabhupada got there, I felt impelled in the heart to go down to the local bookstore, the head shop where, they had all this shiny, flashy stuff. It was the flamboyant 60s, right? Because this is 1966, winter of 66. And he came in January, so it was like right about that time, right before the Mantra Rock dance. And somehow Krishna just led me. I went like a beeline to this little card table with these very plain mimeographed. People don't know it. Mimeographed is kind of like a primitive form of printing. Most people, she knows what it is because she's a school teacher. It's old-fashioned, and there are these concentric circles, just light blue typing paper, not even bound, stapled. That was back to Godhead. But I didn't know that was back to Godhead. But anyway, so I picked one up, and I started reading it. And I had been studying Buddhist philosophy. I'd been studying different things. I'd been studying yoga. So I was familiar with, wheel of birth and death, samsara. It all sounded quite familiar. I was already tapped into the Patanjali yoga philosophy, which incorporates the Vedic concept of the soul and transmigration and all that stuff. So I read it, and that's interesting. And then I picked up another one. And this one was the description by Hayagriva of Prabhupada on the street in New York, how we met him on the street in 1966, the summer of 1966. He had just come back from India, searching for a guru, unsuccessfully, not finding one, and then he came back to New York. He was actually a tenured professor at a university, and he saw this, he describes how he saw this Swami walking down the street. It's a beautiful description. How he was golden, he had a big smile, he looked like he had stepped out of the Rishikesh, and you could almost hear temple bells around him. Really beautiful writing description of Prabhupada. And I read it, and I had, I don't know how to explain in words what happened, really. I just had a divine vision. I mean, it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but I saw him. I saw him in my mind's eye, because I was doing trance meditation. I saw him, and I said, I found him, I found him, I found him at last, I found him. And I was tears, I'm in a bookstore, tears running down my face, like, I found him at last, I found him. And I took down the address, and it was very nearby, This was Haight Street, so Golden, it was right, Frederick Street was right around the corner. And I went right there, and of course, I met Mukunda, who became Mukunda Goswami. I met Mukunda and Hayagriva. Hayagriva was there because Hayagriva had come out from New York. He was working on Prabhupada's books, and he had come out to San Francisco. So he was there with his little desk, and I met him, and there was Mukunda playing harmonium and a couple of other people. And I made an appointment to see Prabhupada the next day. And we both went, both Gursinder and I. And in our first meeting, Prabhupada asked us, he was Swamiji then, he was called Swamiji. He asked us all kinds of questions, like what are you doing, about your parents, about we're going to school, what have you been studying? We've been studying art. He immediately said, he engaged us in painting. He immediately engaged us in what was our natural inclination, that is, to do artwork, so that we would develop a taste for Krishna consciousness service by engaging, by dovetailing your natural inclination, which ours was art. He got us started painting some paintings. And then he asked Gursinder all about what he was, and he was extremely, his name was Gary, he was extremely anxious. He was worried all the time. Every time a helicopter would go over, he was like, because you see, the young men then were there was a draft, and they would put you in jail if you didn't report. And if you reported and you were considered able-bodied, you got sent to Vietnam. And he was a military kid. He came from the Air Force background. He did not want to go to Vietnam. He saw through he was ahead of his time in a lot of ways. He could see that it was just a political war. And so Prabhupada asked him all about that, and he explained it. He expressed so much anxiety. And then he asked me about my life, and I explained to him I had studied art in Europe. I had traveled all over Europe and so this. And he looked so surprised. He said, "Oh, you're so young." I looked very young. "You have traveled so much, yet you're so young?" And I said, "Yes, but none of it has made me happy." And then he just got a big smile on his face. He said, "Ah, yes, that is required." So I had been feeling that I was searching, but everything I wanted I could get, It's like whatever school I wanted, whatever, anything. And none of it had made me happy. And so it's a kind of, I guess, material exhaustion that most of us had, I think. Most of us felt that what else is there, So, and so then he gave us a panacea. He said, after listening to all this from Gursinder, all his anxieties and all this, he said, "You simply come to my classes every day, morning and evening, and all problems will be solved." A panacea. We believed him. I mean, we simply believed him. He is so convincing. I was reading, I think it was Mukunda's book, about how, I never thought of it this way, but it's like the confidence that he exuded. You were absolutely sure that what he said was true. You felt it. You knew he knew what he was talking about. So we started coming morning and evening. He would speak 3 times in the evening. He spoke every morning, but we started coming every day. And I think that clock says one thing, and this clock says something else, and I don't know which time is. That one's right. So I'm not over. Anyway, so we started coming every day, and it worked. I became happy. I'm still happy. Oh yeah, everybody's got problems, but it works. I guess that's, any more questions? I guess the time is up, huh?
I have that trunk that you mentioned at the beginning of the class, the tin trunk that Srila Prabhupada traveled around the world 2.5 times with his library in, and while we were sleeping, he would take all the books out and put them on a little cloth beside, and use the trunk for translating Srimad Bhagavatam.
Translation, please. I can't understand you.
Trunk.
Huh?
The trunk that you mentioned, the tin trunk that probably kept his library in.
His library?
Metal trunk.
Duh.
I do.
Prabhupada's books? His original?
No.
That he was
The trunk. No.
Let Audie gave ask because his voice is deeper. I have a hard time with it. Has to be a real trunk.
He has the trunk that you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
That was the desk of
I
Srila
thought that
Prabhupada's.
trunk was at Nalini's. Yeah, that trunk.
It's on display at the Bhaktivedanta Hall.
Where?
At Nalini Kanta's? Oh, at Nalini Kanta's house.
Oh, yeah, I saw
You
it
can
the
go
other
visit,
day.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw it the other. You know, that trunk was really small. It seemed so big in those days. I was shocked. It looked, maybe I'm bigger or something, but it seemed like it was a bigger trunk than that. But yeah, that's a very special trunk. It traveled all over, and you see, he lived so simply. He did not. It's very good to see how humble he actually was and is, because it's an inspiration for how we should try to live our lives. Of course, we need to take care of our families. I'm not saying that, but so done. Oh, sorry. Okay, so yeah, that's nice. I'm glad to hear that. Is there any other questions? I think the time is almost up. It's 5 minutes. Or maybe this clock is right. I don't know which clock is right.
Govinda Dasi Ki Jai.
Thank you.